This R2-D2 print nearly failed after more than 3 days on the printer. The model itself looks great now, but getting it from finished print to display shelf involved a few things going wrong. Supports that fought back, a filament spool that ran out before the job was done, brims that damaged the feet, and one snapped off leg that had to be repaired. So this isn't a miracle print, and it isn't a perfect print. It's a real-world look at what happens after a long multicolor 3D print finishes when the printer is done, but the project is definitely not. My name is David Gewertz. Welcome back to the Advanced Geekery Project Lab, where I'm making a fun 3D print for your entertainment and edification. Today we're looking at a shelf-worthy R2-D2 printed on a surprisingly affordable new machine. This is my first large print on the Anycubic Kobra X. It's a budget printer priced at about $349, but it can print using 4 spools of filament. I wanted to see what it could really do, so I picked an R2-D2 model that would push both the printer and my patience. The model I'm using is called R2-D2 4-Color Kobra X Optimized from Anycubic's Maker Online Library. I'll include a link below if you'd like to print one yourself. This R2-D2 isn't a simple print. There are plenty of overhangs, which means the printer has to build supports to keep molten filament from sagging while it's being laid down. Supports are just part of the process on a model like this, but they can also be one of the biggest sources of frustration. After my experience printing the Deep Space Nine station on the Anycubic S1, where the supports essentially fused themselves to the model and removing them caused a lot of damage, I decided to try a different approach. This time I used PETG as the support interface while printing the model itself in PLA. PETG and PLA don't bond particularly well to each other, which is exactly what I wanted. The supports still do their job during the print, but afterwards they separate much more easily from the finished model. I also chose tree supports. They're efficient, but they're substantial. These aren't supports you simply grab and pull off. They're sturdy plastic structures in their own right. Fortunately, I had my handy-dandy sonic cutter, which is a lot harder to say than you might think. Instead of trying to wrestle the supports off the model, I sliced through the middle of the support trunks like butter. That lets me remove most of the support structures in sections, and the rest popped off without much effort. That tool definitely earned its keep on this project. Just remember, don't force it. It's literally the opposite of let the force be with you. Let the tool do the work. I did get a bad feeling about one aspect of the project though. The pipes around the base of R2-D2's feet created a difficult area for support removal. That's these things down here. Support material worked its way behind the pipes and into the narrow space between the pipes and the feet. Once it was in there, it simply wasn't coming out. While trying to remove that trapped material, I managed to snap one of R2-D2's legs completely off. Fortunately, it was a clean break. I used medium Starbond CA glue along with activator, and the repair came out strong enough that you'd never know anything had happened. As you can see, I've been lifting this and showing it to you. I normally don't use brims, but I was in a rush to get this project started, and I didn't check the settings carefully enough. I definitely shouldn't have used brims on this print. They didn't separate cleanly from the bottom of the model, and when I removed them, they pulled away part of the bottoms of R2's feet. Since this model is just going to be sitting on a shelf, nobody's ever going to notice that R2 effectively is going through life barefoot. If I were printing this again, I'd make a few changes to the print settings. I'd print a small test section first to verify support removal, skip the brims, and reduce the infill. All the result of pushing to check a to-do item off my list without doing the proper homework. I used 15% infill for this print, but I think 10% or even 5% would have been perfectly adequate. That would have saved both print time and material. Speaking of print time, this was a long one. The printer spent more than 72 hours working on this model. This program is sponsored in part by the Advanced Geekery Weekly newsletter. Want exclusive access to my latest ZDNet articles, behind-the-scenes updates on my projects, and must-watch YouTube videos curated just for you? How about fascinating reads from around the web and a chance to have your own project spotlighted? It's all in the newsletter. And the best part, subscribing is absolutely free. Don't wait, click the link below to get your weekly issue and make it awesome. Originally, I scaled R2 up to nearly fill the Kobra X build volume, but the slicer estimated it would consume nearly an entire 1 kilogram spool of white filament, and I wasn't comfortable leaving almost no safety margin. So I reduced the size until the estimate dropped to about 880 grams. Unfortunately, the estimate turned out to be optimistic. The printer actually consumed the entire spool of white filament before the job finished. I had to load a second roll in the middle of the print to keep it going. The good news is that the filament change worked flawlessly. Once the print was finished, I couldn't even tell where the transition happened. It's somewhere in here, but I'll be darned if I can tell where it is. In terms of color, R2-D2 is normally white, blue, black, silver, and red. The Kobra X allows for 4 spools to be loaded at once. 1, 2, 3, 4. But one of those was occupied by the white PETG support interface, this one right here. That meant that I really had only 3 PLA colors available for the model itself. I chose to remap the silver to white, making the body predominantly white, and then use the slicer's paint tools to replace every bit of red with white as well. I carefully scrubbed through the sliced layers to make sure every red feature had been reassigned before starting the print. That left me printing with white, blue, and black PLA for the model, plus the white PETG for the support interface. I think the final result speaks for itself. The colors look great, the detail came out nicely, and despite a few lessons learned along the way, this was a successful first large project on the Kobra X. It's definitely earned a place of pride on my display shelf. The Kobra X did a fine job. If you've experimented with PETG support interfaces, multi-material printing, or you've got your own favorite tricks for making support removal easier, what's worked best for you? Let us know in the comments below. My name is David Gewirtz. Go out there and make it awesome.